Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kevin Gunn, and I am the coordinator of digital scholarship at Catholic University of America Libraries. This workshop is being recorded and will be made available at a later date, along with the slides. Today, we're going to be exploring the open source software AntConc. AntConc is a great tool for analyzing corpora, and we will work through some of its basic features. So AntConc is freely available corpus analysis software tool developed by Lawrence Anthony. It's widely used in digital humanities, linguistics, and textual scholarship. AntConc allows researchers to analyze large collections of texts quickly and systematically. So core functionalities include keyword extraction, concordancing, correlation analysis, word frequency lists, and advanced search techniques using regular expressions. There is even a new chat GPT tool that we will explore. Now, these features enable scholars to identify linguistic patterns, thematic structures, and stylistic elements across diverse textual data sets. Researchers can import their own corpora, such as literary texts, historical documents, or interview transcripts, and perform detailed quantitative and qualitative analyses upon them. For today's workshop, I'm going to be using the Brown Corpus of American English. This was the first modern computer-readable general corpora. It was compiled by folks Francis and Kucera at Brown University back in 1961, and that's why it's called the Brown Corpus. It consists of 1 million words in American English. So the texts for the corpus were sampled from 15 different text categories to make the corpus a good standard reference. So they pulled from different sources like journalism, prose, life skills, hobbies, biographies, science and humanities texts. So they got a real cross section of writing. It is somewhat small and it is dated after all 1961, but it is still useful and I use it to demonstrate AntConc. And I'm going to put the link to the folder in the chat now. Go. So give you a broader picture. If you don't like this particular corpus, okay, that's fine. You can find corpora at these two sites here, english-corpora.org, and the other one is corpusdata.org. Lots of stuff there, and you can definitely find material that. You can also just Google it and see what else is out there. If you're looking for, you can search raw text, and that's what we're going to be doing today. But you can also search using parts of speech tagging. So if you have a large data set or files and you want to tag them, for example, tagging words that are nouns, prepositions, that sort of thing, pronouns. Is service out there called Clause, and that will help. They'll provide you. You have to pay some money, but you can get your text tagged so that you can search them in a very different way. So I just like to bring out that point. So the part of speech tagging, it's also called grammatical tagging. It's the most common form of corpus annotation, and a lot of linguists use that. All right, so that's the quick demo. What we're going to do now, so I'm going to go share my screen. And we're going to go to, there we go, to Lawrence Anthony's website. He's been doing this for many, many years. And usually he'll have, once a year, he'll do a major update, and then usually he'll have little bit of versions that versions that'll come out over the course of the year. So yeah, it's new material, new tools. Most new tool that he's added in the past year has been the chat AI tool, and I'll demonstrate that in a bit. So here's where you can go to the website here, lawrenceanthony.net, software and AntConc. And he does a lot of other software packages as well, in addition to AntConc. So you can go under here under software, and you can see all the different types of tools that he has brought forth. So here's a clause tagger. You have a freeware multidisciplinary corpus creation tool, and file converters, that sort of thing. So definitely his website's worth exploring. Today we're just going to look at AntConc. All right. So now I'm going to go to AntConc. So once you've downloaded AntConc, installed it on your computer and run it, there'll be a little ant on top of a book. And there you go, I've expanded it out. So if it runs successfully, here is AntConc. So what I'm going to do is give you a little walk around the interface here and just give you a sense of all the different things you can do in here. So you'll notice across the top here, you have your different types of target reference component. I'm going to clear this out right now. In fact, what I'm going to do is exit. All right, there we go. So we have our target corpus listed here that you can put in here, and we'll get to that in a second. You'll have the various different tools that you can use here, from keyword and context, plot, file name, and all that. So if you look at the top here, right, total hits along here, you'll notice as I click through the tools, what they emphasize will change here. So it's important to keep that in mind. You can do different things here. Okay. And as I go through here, you'll notice down here at the bottom, here where we put our search queries in that can also change too as we go through like that. So something to keep in mind. So what we're going to do is go back to Quick here, and we're going to open file Quick Corpus. And I am going to go to my desktop and AntConc, and I've sent you the brown corpus untagged and tagged. We're just going to do untagged, and I'm going to select all of these from A to R. And I'm going to do is hold the shift key down, select all of them, and then open up. And you'll notice as it loads down here, you'll have a progress bar down here. So it's important to keep track. Take a look at that. Sometimes the different tools will work very quickly. Other times they'll work very slowly. So it's good to know that that is happening. And it'll say a temporary corpus.temp.db. Remember that, temp.db. We'll come back to that later. Has been created. The corpus can be saved via the corpus manager, and we'll get in the corpus manager in a bit. So there we go. And we know it's loaded successfully because we got all these particular files on the side here. Now, one of the wonderful things, when I first started doing this, all you could load in here were text files. That was it. So it's kind of limited in that regard. But now we can go up to settings here, and we can go to global settings, and a whole bunch of different things you can do here. I'm not going to get into them right now. You can go to files, and now you have all these different file types that you can load. So text, PDFs, docs, HTML, XML, even comma separated values and tab separated values. So it definitely has a lot of applicability and utility now. Its utility has increased quite a bit. So I just thought I would point that out to you. Right. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to go down here to search. I'm going to do a keyword and context search, and we're going to search for the word process. And we're not going to select words at this time, so we're going to deselect that. So we're just going to look for this phrase process. And I'm going to click on that, and boom, that was very quick. So let's take a look. Here's how we can begin our searching. We searched for process. We didn't search for it as a word. We searched for it as a string, a set of letters, if you will. And this is demonstrated by the fact that we're getting word like process, but also processing, processes. And if we scroll down, we get capitalized process completely. So we get a real cross-section. Anything that has that word process listed in there, we're going to have it listed. We'll also notice up here that total hits is 320 hits, just doing it this way. You can look at the page size. I'm going to go to 500. Since we have 320 hits, I'll do this at 500. That way it's all on the same page. Nice little quirk that way. So that's a very quick way that you can get this. But if you want to be more specific, you simply want to look for the word process and nothing else. You can select the word, words function here, and redo the search. And now we're down to 197. And if you scroll, you notice it's just the word process, even the capitalized here. You can scroll and see. You'll notice there'll be a little bit of punctuation in that, but AntConc basically ignores the punctuation. And now you'll see that come up in various different ways. If you wanted to do a case search, so if you wanted just small letters, uncapitalized, lowercase, you can do the search for that, and the 197 becomes 189. If you want to know if just the first letters capitalized, you can redo that search, and you get this. And you'd be thinking, maybe a sentence starts with the word process. Process this, man, something like that. Well, in this case, it's talking about a particular thing, an object, in this case, substantive due process. You look at it and go, oh, that's very interesting. So that is something that you can do. And of course, since we're doing case study, you can get that as well. So there's different ways that you can search in here just on basically one word. I'm going to do that. I'm going to deselect case and leave that right now and redo the search. There we go. All right, so before we move on, I would like to point out to you some colors here. So obviously we're searching for process, and that's in blue. But what about these colors to the right of this? So this is sort of a nice little aesthetic feature that points out to you what is to the right of your word. And you can change this through your sort options. So if it says sort to the right, that's what we got. Everything to the right of process up to sort 1 to the right, sort 2 to the right, sort 3 to the right. If I want to do to the left, I can do to the left, redo the search, and there is to the left. So it sort of highlights that. And you can go into global settings here and change the colors if you want. So we're not going to do that, but it's something that's can be kind of useful if you want. If you want to keep track of stuff that way. Let me go back to the right. There we go. And you can do sort one to the left, two to the right, two to the right, that sort of thing. So you can decide that maybe I want to do 3, 4, and 5, right? So here's a way that you can sort of do a primitive collocation, looking at two words or more and see how close together they come in that respect. So you can scroll through here and look at the green, for example, and see how far out it is. If there are any common words listed here. So it's a very interesting way that one can do that. All right, I'm going to go back to just doing this to the right, and let's see, 3, there we go. Back to the normal, as they say. Okay, next you can also do a frequency. We're doing frequency, so of is listed here quite a bit. It's telling you that process of is the most common here, and then followed by the and in and it and that sort of thing. But you can also do this by value, order by value, and this will bring up alphabetical order. So here we go, A, B, and C, and D. There you go, and all the way down. So that is one quick way looking at your texts. So we can tell from this that of is the most common one. Now we're looking at this keyword in context, right? And we're sort of looking at what's before this and then what's after the word process, that sort of thing. But we're not limited by this. We can go, we have 10 tokens here. We can go much further, much larger if you wanted. So if I want to look at the tokens coming here, I can do this. And now I get a broader sense of the keyword in context in here. At the same time, I can only go to 5, and then it's much more specific. So different ways that you can play with this. I'm going to go back to 10. Do it that way. Now, another thing you may notice, so let's say you're very much interested, you're reading through this and you go, oh, this is very interesting. What can I do? So you can click on any one of these words and it'll take you to this word. So I'm just going to click on process. I'm going to double click on it and voila, it's taken me to the actual text. And I can look at the actual text. I can read it, even start scrolling through and reading, looking at it. I can look under, we were under keyword and context, but now we're under the file view listed here. So here's the word that I clicked on, process. But if I scroll a little ways, I notice that process is also listed here. It's very faint, but you can see that blue is listed there. So you may have to squint. And you can scroll through and see how often that word is mentioned. So that's one way. In this particular text, brown, C, you can see that how often a particular word is mentioned. All right. We'll also give you in this particular file the number of hits that are in this particular file. So there's 4 here that's listed. So that tells you, well, maybe that, given your word that you're not looking at that particular file, it may not be worth your time to do so. So that, again, that's another quick way that you can do that. I'll give you some insight into that. Okay, so let us go back to keyword and context. And we're looking at this particular set here. Um, Process, we've done that. I'm going to do the search again and clear it out. And what we have here is, there's so many different ways you can search for particular words, concepts, phrases, that sort of thing. One of the big things about AntConc, I love it, is because if you have a really solid background in statistics, then you can bring that knowledge to bear in AntConc. If you have a decent knowledge of regular expressions, then you can bring that to AntConc, and then the value of AntConc really comes to the fore. So I'm going to show you a very, very quick demonstration of how to use regular expressions. And I think you'll begin to see. So over here we have regex here is called, so regular expressions. I'm going to clear process out. And what I'm going to do is I want to look for all the verbs, all the past tense verbs that are in this corpus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in an expression. All right, so here it is, right down here in the box. It looks like a bunch of gobbledygook, but I can assure you it is very good syntax. So what's looking for in the brackets, square brackets, it's looking for lowercase a to z and uppercase a to z, anything that's a to z, essentially. And it's looking for that, and it's going to be truncated with the asterisks. And then right after that, any word, any string of words that has letters, that has ed after that. So it could be axed, A-X-E-D, for example, or it could be process, something larger. Anything like that, it's going to search for that. And the backward slash B tells you that we're only looking for words here. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to click on Start. And you'll notice down here, progress. It doesn't seem to be doing anything, but don't worry, it's working. But it has to go through the whole corpus. And there we go. And you'll notice all our verbs are coming up. Join, referred, related, attached, all this. You just scroll down, you can take a nice long list, and you'll notice how many hits do we have? Oh, just 41,629. So obviously, it's a very expansive search. Guaranteed to get results doing it this way, if you know what I mean. But you do get a sense of what you can do with these. So, like I said, you need to invest some time in your regular expressions, the syntax with regards to them, not the syntax there are different types of syntax for regular expressions. So a lot of the stuff, say for example, Python or whatever, they're not going to, a lot of those syntax forms are not going to be, they won't work in here. So you sort of have to develop your own um, 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 syntax list, if you will. So it does take a bit of time. I would recommend going to the website linguistics web.org. Linguistic web, linguistic web, linguisticsweb.org, linguisticsweb.org. Okay, there you go. And that will show you some of the different forms that you can use in AntConc just to get you started. Some of them work. I have tried others, and some of them have not worked. So take it with a grain of salt. All right, so that is keyword and context. And regular expressions. All right, our next stop is going to be the plot. Now, one of the practices, I've been using this for a number of years now, and I always recommend every once in a while that you clear out your texts and your tools. sometimes I've found in the past that some of these tools and files may linger. And you don't want that because that will skew your results coming forward, or it will prevent you from having getting any results. And you're wondering, why am I getting zero results here? Because I know I can get something. I know my text, my corpus. How come I'm not getting anything? It's because of that. You didn't clear your tools. So how you do that is you go up to File here and you clear all tools and files. You just want a clean slate. So I highly recommend this as a good practice moving forward. So right now we have nothing in here. So we got to load up our file again. And here we are, A to R. And it likes to take its time. So here we go, a temporary corpus, temp.db. There we go. Okay, so we're going to now go to plot. We're going to plot it. And look what we're looking at. We're looking at role, file ID, okay, file path. But we're getting into the file tokens, the frequency, the normalizing frequency, as well as dispersion and the plot. So what do they mean? So if you want to look at frequency, so that's just the raw count. How many times is this word in the corpora? So that gives you a quick, you can ask the question, is this text actually worth looking at? The normalized frequency, that's the percentage of the raw number divided into the number of token words in the file. So a high number means the word is relevant to that particular file. All right. So that's norm frequency. Now, dispersion can be high or low. High dispersion indicates that the word is relatively evenly distributed across the corpus. And that's kind of lets you sort of know whether your corpus is balanced or not. So low dispersion suggests that the word is concentrated in certain sections or context, or that its occurrences are clumped together. So a particular word is clumped together in, it's at, say at the back 15th, 16th part of your file, then you know that something's up. It's not, it may not be indicative of the file or the corpus as a whole. All right, so let's do this. We're going to go here. We're going to deselect regex. And what are we going to do? We're going to do process. We'll stick with that. And let's see, we're looking for the words. Sure, let's look for just the word process. And here we go. So here again is our 197 hits. We looked at 14 out of the 15 files. That's great. And this tells us the tokens, like, wow, there's 98,000 here, there's 153 file tokens here. It gives you the frequency, how often they appear, and the norm frequency and the dispersion. So if you want to look at the dispersion of things, the range of this, you can look at the plot here. So here, the particular blue sections tell you, where the word process is in that particular text file. So brown J here, process is listed here. If memory serves me, the J refers to the sciences. So that's kind of, well, yeah, process of whatever, that's going to be listed in here. Meanwhile, brown R down here is only listed twice and it's at the back end. So it's probably just literature or something like that. So you can tell just by that that there's different dispersions that can occur. Now, if you want to take a closer look at the plot, you can go down here to where it says plot zoom, and you can just do 2. listed here too, and you'll notice it expands out a bit. And if I did 3, you can see across how, excuse me, an idea of how it's dispersed throughout each text. All right, so that is a very interesting way of looking at it, but we can do better than that. Let's see, if we want to do, we're looking at this particular word now, looking at process, so you can take a look at this in a different way. We're looking at this as a file. If we go to tool settings again, and if we go to plot, we're looking at the table view, but now we can go to the graphic view. So I'm going to click on the graphic view. I'm not going to touch anything else here, and I'm going to apply it. And the graphic view will come up in a few seconds. You have to click start. There we go. Sometimes it's unclear whether you have to click start or not. So in this case, here we go. And we have the list, these from table to graphic. So we can break it down by each particular reference. And I should point out here that I'm putting my cursor over a particular color and it's highlighting it. So if I were to click on this, it would take me to the particular word in that file. So if I can take a closer look at it. All right, so we have that. Let's see, I'm going to go back to 2 here. There we go. So if I really like this, I can do, I can save this file. So I can go under File, this image, and I can go to Save Current Tab Results. So if I need this an image for a project or whatever, I can do that. And it'll save this. It'll give you plot results and save it as a PNG. And this, there we go. And I'm going to go here. And I've already done this a little bit earlier today, so I would just replace it with that. So there you go. And that's what you have, a nice image. All right. Now, if we want to do something different here, I want to show you something else. I'm going to go back to the table view. Listed here. So I am going to do a search here. Now, let's say I want to compare 2 phrases. So let's say I want to look up "we are," and there you go. We have the words "we are" listed through here. And that is blue. Now let's say I want to compare that with "we have," for example. So I can click on Overlay, and I'm going to go in, I'm going to type "have," "we have," Overlay. I don't want to do blue because then it'll just clutter this up. So I'm going to click on the color, and I'm going to pick a nice little red that way. And now I'm going to search. So here we go. We have the blue and the red. So we have, we are, and we have. And that's sort of a way you can compare words. Again, how do they relate to each other? So if you're putting in process and you can put in another word. Again, that's another way of seeing how close are they related to each other. And if I were to click on this one here, double click, it takes me up here, and here we have "we have." And here's "we are" down here, "we are" listed there. So it's pretty cool, right? So we're in file view right now, and now we're back to plot. So that's how you can plot different words and compare and contrast and that. Now you notice down here we also have dispersion. So you can look at these different ways. You can look at, say, frequency like that. I don't think there'll be much of a difference there. Let's look at this. Yeah, so there it is. You can have different ways that you can look at how frequency, which is the raw frequency, is compared with the normative frequency. So there's a couple different ones. Brown J and Brown G look like the most promising of these. Okay. So that is plot. Okay. So I mentioned file view and I showed you different ways that you can see material here. So we have words here. We have and we are located close to this right here as an example. So that's that. Our next one is going to be collocates. This one's pretty fun. So words that appear frequently within a certain distance of the search term. So words that co-occur is the way to look at collocate. So you can click, let's see, you can see, take a look at this. We're going to do process. Go back to process. And we're going to do a word search. And here we go. And here we have a different face looking at. So we look at, the ranking, the most common words, if you look, the frequency left to right, it's going to be this one here, the. Frequency on the left-hand side, 162, 74 on the right. The range is 13, so it's like in 13 of the files, which is very interesting. The likelihood is going to show up is the most common likelihood listed here. So 68, and as you see, it descends. So likelihood is a statistical measure. I'm not going to get into the statistics, but it shows you, yeah, you're going to expect this. So if we go down here and we take a look at remove, we double click on removal, pardon me, and that will take you to the particular file, in this case, J, and it will you can look at how removal and process are together in this case. So they're very, very close together. If I were to go back to this, it doesn't, one of the things I noticed, it doesn't seem to have a back button, but anyway. So I sometimes have to redo the search, which is fine. Now, if I go to stage, I double click on that, you'll notice before we had removal process all the way through, here we have stage of the, process, then RRR listed here. So here's process, it's on the left-hand side, process, that sort of thing. So you can see it popping up, process popping up. It's not necessarily going to be to the right of that particular word. So you get a sense of how words relate to each other from the left and from the right. This way you can sort of look at what sort of hidden relationships there are between the two particular words. If we go to global settings, pardon me, tool settings, if we look under collocate, you'll notice the likelihood measure is defaulted to the log likelihood statistical measure. You have a threshold of p less than 5. You have an effect size measure. In this case, you have a whole bunch of them listed here. It's using MI. And then you have threshold values and whatever. So like I said, I'm not going to explain the statistics now. You can always take a look at that. If you bring a knowledge of statistics to this, then this obviously is going to be much more useful for you. All right. Let's see. The next one up is clusters. So here we are on clusters. So clusters, they're words, continuous word patterns that may come up. So, common phrases, for example, if you wanted to look for those sorts of things. So what you can, excuse me, what you can do was type in process again and that, and cluster size of 2, we'll stick with that. And then again, we get slightly different results here that you can examine your corpus. So here's the cluster and it's the process and then whatever comes after that, right? So we're looking at keyword and context, and that'll be demonstrated by this. But if you want to be very specific, you can look at it this way, and you look at the ranks, and this tells you, 59 process of, that's most common, obviously, and the range is 12, so it's across the majority of the files that we're looking at. Now, if you wanted to change it up a little bit, you can go cluster size to 3. And there you get a sense of what it is. So if you're looking for process it is, you'll notice it's ranked number 1, but this only happens 4 times. And the range is only across 2 files. So it's much shorter. So you have 4, 3, 2, 2, 2, and then 1s all the way. So if you go up to cluster size 4, there you go. Now you see that the words process in which that is only twice, process it is difficult twice. The rest of it, they're all unique phrases. So probably not terribly helpful for you if you're looking for common phrases. So I'm going to go back to 2. So yeah, clustering's one tool you can use. Another one is n-grams. So let's go to n-grams, listed right here. So you have types and you have tokens listed up here, n-gram types and tokens. And let's see what we can get into. So n-grams, they scan the entire corpus for n-size clusters. For example, 2-word clusters together, and then the good for finding, again, common expressions if that's what you want to do. If we go down to search query here, we're going down to deselect, and then we're just going to look for process. And I should mention, before I do that, I want to take process out. I want to deselect words and no words at all. So I just want to take a look at what we get here. So this will search the entire corpus. One of the things I just wanted to point out to you is that you have this whole n-gram type. So there's 442. And the size, it's N2, so there's all the possible combinations of 2 words together. So it's 442,000. And out of the tokens, which is 102, 1.02 million listed there. So not terribly useful in that sense, but I wanted to point out to you that it is looking for different words and phrases. So for example, if it takes out the punctuation, so here's N''T. So if you look at this, it's ranked frequencies 2098, and it's across all of the files. So it's quite common. So that is sort of a different way that one could find some interesting material ideas through here. Let's see, is there listed here? No. So that's an example. I'm going to go back and do process. And we'll see what we can get. And here we are, n-grams. And again, we're getting the same thing, process of frequency 29 over 12. So we found sort of similar results using the other tools, but this is another way that one can explore the text and how they're related how words are related. So if we went up to 3 and we did the search again, so it's looking for all the 3 word combos listed in here. So here we have 296 types out of this whole thing, and the tokens are 320. So we have these listed here, and the most common one process it is frequency of 4. And after that, you can see it drops off just to unique phrases like process and until. So another way to look at material. I'm going to go back here to, let's see, and I'm going to go to keyword and context. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out, I want to develop the word list here. Pardon me. I'm going to do a word list. We have a search query of words, and we have nothing listed here. So I just want to see the words in here, just very basically. Give me a list of all the words in here. And here you do. Obviously, that's the most common one, then of, and then it drops off. So frequency and the range is 15. So these are all common words that you can take a look at and go through if that's what you wanted to do. So if you want to do process and no words selected right here, what you get is anything that has the phrase processes, processes, processing, anything like that lists here. So this is another quick way you can get some quick results and look at the frequency and ranges of that. If you want to redo the search, but this time you're searching specifically for words, it just gives you the one word, right? 197. So different ways give you different results. So come back and what's displayed. So that is word list. Now, the next one is keyword. So what we have here is we have different files listed here. So this shows words that appear unusually frequently in the target corpus in comparison to the reference corpus. So this is based on keywords, which is a statistical measure. So the keyness, if you will, is the likelihood which was seen. That's based on the number of occurrences, greater than chance, and there's a statistical formula for that. And then there's the notion of, that's keyness right here, likelihood, and then there's keyness effect, which refers to the size that you get. So we can demonstrate this by going to tool settings. Let's see, keyword here. So you can show the raw values, you can show normalized values, that sort of thing. You have these particular measures, statistical measures that you can use. So we're not going to touch any of those. Okay. So if we're going to compare our target corpus to our reference corpus, what we want to do is we want to go under File. I cleared everything out, just again to make sure everything's good. We're going to go to Open Corpus Manager. And here is a very interesting page here. So before we've been loading our files individually, so to speak. Now you can keep track and have your own corpus or corpora listed in here, so you can keep coming back to it and that. So this is the Corpus Manager. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to go to American 2006. This is American English from 2006. And that's going to be our reference corpus. And we're going to compare our Brown corpus from 1961. And we're going to see, hey, what's changed between 61 and 2006? So we need to load these up. What we're going to do, this tells you each file and what they cover, from press reporting to belles lettres to fiction to science, that sort of stuff. So the learned is the science one, that's the J. So it gives you a cross section of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to select DB. You don't want to, you can select one of these if you want to do very specific. We're going to do the whole thing. So I'm going to double click on that. And on the left-hand side, it gives all that. And it has it as our target corpus. And we don't want that. We want it as our reference. So we have it listed on the right-hand side here. It gives you some knowledge about the reference. And we're going to swap it. And we swapped it because now it's down here at reference. Okay. And I should mention before we go any further that since these are available online and they're freely available, it might be a good thing to connect online and then just to update. So the list of available corpora will be updated. You want to go? Sure. There we go. And it is updated. So it didn't take too long to do that. So here's what we're going to do. I double click, I swap it out. It tells me it's my reference. And then I go down here to my temp database. We know this as the Brown database. I'm going to double click on that, and that's going to be my target. So reference and target. And I'm going to go return to the main window. Now, the main thing you're going to notice on the left-hand side here, target corpus and our reference corpus. So we've got them all lined up. They're about the same size, roughly, a little over 1 million tokens in there, if you will. So what we're going to do is we're going to select words right here, but we just want to explore, see what's available in here. So I'm going to leave this blank, and I'm going to go click on Start. And we can tell it's working. It says process here. And there we go. Took a little while, but we got there. All right, so here we have, the rankings and whatever the particular word is, and then the frequency of the target, and then the frequency of the reference. And so they're comparing those. And this is the range of the target and range of the reference corpus, and the keyness and the unlikelihood and the effect, that sort of thing. So you can sort of get, what's changed between now and then. So here's an example here that I kind of like. Down here you have Khrushchev, and you look at the target, the frequency of it, it's mentioned 82 times in the 1961 Brown corpus. Hey, no kidding, right? Because he was the president of the Soviet Union at that time. But if we look at 2006 in the reference corpus, he's only mentioned once. So something's obviously changed there. So you have May listed 1,400 times here. Now it's only 912. What is that about? So there's a different way you compare different corpora that you have listed here. All right, so that's just a very quick demo. I'm going to go back to Corpus Manager, and I just want to point out a few things. Different colors here. The green refers to that it's ready to be used. The purple means it's reference. The blue is the target listed here. So you have a lot of different things that you can do here. If you were to click, I double click this, and it's now orange or red. Let's see if I click it again. So I can actually delete this if I wanted to. It's ready to be deleted, but I won't do that. So you have the different colors. All right. I should also mention, if you want to compare word lists, if you have raw files, you can load them in here. There's a lot of different settings I'm not going to get into. If you're dealing with headwords or lemmas, you can load lists up here and do comparing. If you go to word list here, you can add a word list file and just have that run across a corpus and see what you get as well. So I'm not going to explore that's more involved, but that is what you can do. All right, so last thing I want to show for today is our chat AI tool here. So I'm going to clear all this stuff out here, clear all tools. All right. Oh, wait, I don't want that. Just go back up here, clear everything. Okay. So you definitely want to make sure that you don't have anything listed in the side here. All right, so we're going to go to Chat GPT. Now this involves a little bit of work. What can I tell you? So you can get an API key from Chat GPT, and you can load that in here, and you can go take a look at a particular text. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to share. So here I am at platform.openai.com. They are the organizers, the creators of ChatGPT, and they allow you to have a reference here. You can pull out free keys. They're limited in number of tokens, and if you have any more, if you go too quickly or too large a file, then you'll be stopped. You'll get an error message. So I'm going to try this and see how we go. So you can go in. You can get an API key here. You have to log in, create an account, and here's my API key that's listed here, and it will give you this huge, very long key that you can put into your particular file here. So I'm going to go back to AntConc listed here. So in order to set this up, I need to go up to settings, and I need to go to tool settings again. And then I go down to chat AI. And here's the open key that you have to put in. So once it generates the key, you cut and paste it. And I'm going to do that right now. And you should not share this key with anyone. So thankfully, when you cut and paste it in here, it gives you that. You have the default models, the GPT-4o Mini, and they have a whole bunch of models here, and I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to update the models. And it says your model's been updated. And here you go, system prompt, your helpful assistant. Okay, great. So I apply that. And now I'm ready to go. So I have maximum tokens 100. I have model here. I have my source and stuff here. It's going to pull from Quick, but I don't have anything in Quick. What happened? So I need to open up a file. And what I'm going to do, because I've ran into problems, what I'm going to do is I'm going to search this particular blog that a buddy of mine wrote. It's a very short blog, and I converted it to TXT. It's on open science and reproducibility. And then what I'm going to do is open that in here. It says, oh, you created a temporary database. And oh, dear me. So I don't want this reference corpus thing in here. And I think the only way, I don't want to log out here. So I'm going to see what happens with this thing. So I'm going to do source. I'm going to click source here. and it says, okay, what do you want to do? You want to do one of these? You want to pull from one of these? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull from file view. So here's the blog. It's very short, as you can tell. I'm using a short one because, again, you could get reach the limit of your tokens if your thing's too high. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do file view. It's asking me for the prompt, so I'm going to say I'm going to ask it, who is the author of this file? Right here, and I'm going to save this prompt. So there it is, it's saved. Now let's see what happens. I do not guarantee any results. I'm going to submit this. Oh, there we go, it worked, yay! So there it is. The author of the file is Benjamin Cushing, and there it is, COA Libraries. So that's basically how it operates. So you can put in your prompt here, and it can be very tight prompt, and you can search your particular files that are listed here. Once you load them into a particular tool, and then you'll be able to do that. So this actually worked, and I feel great about it. So that is AntConc in a nutshell. You can see what you can do with it, and so that's the workshop. Are there any questions? Okay, so you can reach me if you want. I'm at gun@coa.edu if you have any follow-up questions. So thank you all for coming, and we will see you at the next workshop. Have a great day.